of Amaqhawe TV, listeners of Ngobela FM. My name is Yongamela Manene. As you all know, every Wednesday we're having our series of lectures on liberation heritage. Today we have a different topic which does not go far away from a liberation heritage, as we'll be speaking to a young person who's going to be sharing with us experiences they have as young people. His name is Ndanda Zongongi.
I go by the name of Ndandazo, aka Zaka. My surname is Nkonki. I was actually made in Port Elizabeth, but I was born in Adelaide. It's just a small town in the Eastern Cape. So I grew up, I was raised by a single mom. So my dad was here in PE most of the time. So I don't know much of my dad like that much. But I actually coming from like a poor background in terms of like social and also in terms of like, economic terms, because my mom was just a pensioner. Otherwise, I'm also coming from a black school as well.
Thank you, Zaka. As it has been quite most of concerns recently that youth is going through a lot. As a young person, what could be specifics that you want to share and you think youth is going through the most?
Based on my experiences and the observations amongst my peers, is that there are challenges that we're experiencing that need more attention in our society. And those are depression, unemployment. But unemployment, it's partially the problem dependent on youth solutions, because at some point you're not at fault. This is just the economic concern. However, depression is what I think should be our focus for tonight's discussion, if that is okay with you, Yongamela. From what I believe, it's the more we can face this challenge and try to be preventative towards it, we at some point can reduce unemployment. I know you think about the why question. So the approach would be, if we can tackle the things, even the slightest of them, that cause depression. I'm telling you, depression affects the unemployed as well as the employed. Hence, it is one of the issues that needs so much attention for the betterment of the economy. Hence, prevention of it may lead to partial reduction of employment.
Oh, wow. That's a very mouthful and a very interesting point you just raised. Since you are mentioning economy and depression in the same paragraph, do you really think that depression have or could have implications in the economy?
If I can tell you something about depression, Amela, it has some deep implications to the economy as well, or causing more of depression. So take this example. If the unemployed is somewhat depressed, possibility might be lack of motivation, creativity. Let us say it was a potential entrepreneur. Now they're depressed. So what are we losing? Unemployment, tax revenue, and development, which is the use of money by the earner to provide for school fees growth of their kids and so on. Now, on the other side of the employed is depressed. On the other side, the employed is depressed. So the possibility is low productivity. And this might lead to unemployment. What do we lose? Tax revenue and unemployment increase. So on the other side of things, there is no depression. We get to be powerful, innovative, and productive. This is just a depiction of the implications of depression.
Wow. Again, I get the picture. Now tell us, what are the main concerns that actually led you to want us to focus on depression? We are just
My con oh sorry, should I continue?
yes, yes, yes.
My concern is that we are dying silently because of depression, and at some point, those lives could have come with something that could change the way we live. I really believe that the problems that the country is facing, the solutions of them could be in that kid who's thinking of killing themselves or is depressed. As for the youth, depression is quite a sensitive issue, and if we fight it, we can come up with powerful, and this generation has the potential of making this world a better place than ever before. The causes of depression are somewhat the buildup of small things. If you know that a house, for it to be built as a complete house, it must be established by one brick, then the next brick, then the next. So is depression. It starts small with things that people most overlook up to a point where they cannot handle them. I would not specify what these small things are because they differ from person to person. I mean, young people, we are sick, and the main illness we seek from is just something that can be prevented. We are depressed due to FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. Some of us would always want to go out with recent trends that later cause financial strains and regrets. Some want to be don't want to be called lame or uncool. Some go to places they do not like because of their friends or significant others are going there. Then there's comparison. People see their lives as stuck as compared to other people's lives. Or competitiveness. Some will do things because they want to be better or seem better than the other person. Then there is what people are going to say syndrome. At some point, this is the most dream killer and limitation of happiness. Then there's lack of self-love on the other side. Some people want to be someone they not because they do not love themselves. Then there's status. This is one of the major causes of inequalities in our society and lack of confidence in people. Then we got pride. And this go mostly to relationships. Most of them end up, most of the relationships are finished because of it. And the social media influence as well. As much as it builds us, it also breaks us and destroys us. And this has caused a lot of impatience in youth towards success. So these are the problems that will always be there unless we, as young people, take ownership of our lives and be mindful in dealing with them. We can prevent ourselves from being depressed.
Wow, thank you. You're mentioning one important thing, that of self-love. It's quite a critical one, and it's good that it's coming from a young person, that a person, it starts within. Thank you for that point, and it's very critical and very important. I hope listeners are taking a note on that one. So tell us, Zaka, is there any way that can be used besides the current available systems that the youth can fight the unprecedented challenge of depression in your thinking?
Unprecedented. I would not say it. I would not say it is, but what I'm about to propose really sound unprecedented, but in actual and factual sense, it is not. I mean, the healthcare department, social media, and the South African Depression and Anxiety Group are trying so hard to address and reach out to the issues concerning depression. So to the person who is watching, please do not put me in the corner. Depression is no much or less impotent than any other major issues that we are currently facing. It is just out of the young person's concern that we have to focus on it because most of us are susceptible to it, going through it, or recovering from it. The idea is that we face depression in a more non-clinical methodology in preventing its causes. Otherwise, I just have one proposition to people who are experienced or would like to prevent depression to be socially intelligent.
Yes, social intelligence. We're listening. What is that? It's a new version. We never heard
Uh,
of it. Please
yeah,
educate us.
well, young Amela, I'm just here to shout out on the power of social intelligence, commonly known as being streetwise. So, I mean, like the mindfulness I have mentioned earlier is what we call social intelligence. By the time we are finished with this discussion, everybody will have a bit of an idea on what could be these small things that we overlook that might lead to depression. So having social intelligence or applying it from time to time, I call it sanity maintenance.
Yes, social intelligence for me and someone else who's watching is a new thing. We would like to understand the term better. Give us an explicit, you just gave us a broader view now. Please explain it to us, Dandas.
Oh, okay, well, the meaning of social intelligence is the capacity to know oneself and to know others. So social intelligence develops from experience with people and learning from success and failures in social settings. So this is what we call common sense or being streetwise. Otherwise, this type of intelligence goes way beyond its traditional meaning. It is a powerful skill that is ever learned, which you can be good at it, but will never master it because we are only human. Mastering this skill means you know everything about people and yourself socially, of which that is not possible.
Why you, but why you put so much importance on social intelligence and the
Um,
prevention of depression?
Young Amela, the answer to your question will be based on some social concerns, which are the roots of depression, where people feel that they never enough to other people. Some think of themselves as failures based on other people's opinion. Some quit on their dreams. Some lose their lives. Some cannot maintain relationships. Some are ever in conflict with their families. Some are insecure about themselves and how they look. Some would rather be withdrawn from people, not because they do not love people. Some cannot be themselves amongst other people. And some are just stressing over trivial things. I could go on and on. The list is endless when it comes to concerns of social intelligence.
You're mentioning social intelligence as a skill. Do you think people can go to school or go to a institution in order to obtain this? How do they come to around themselves or familiar themselves about this? There's an there's an there's also a mindful aspect that you've mentioned. Are these two related?
Yeah, the mindful aspect, it's more like the synonym of social intelligence. Otherwise, unfortunately, the skill can only be learned through social setting exposure. However, I'm here to assist and guide in terms of getting good with the skill. I've only mastered the concepts of the skill, but not the skill. As I have stated earlier, I'm only human as well. So social intelligence is the medicine to keep relations healthy, is the gear to change behavior in a social setting, is the core to sanity and inner peace, and could be the transport to your dreamland. Note, social intelligence is about the experience and desire to what these above phrases outline. You are not obliged to stick to any social setting or situation that goes against what is mentioned in these phrases. So being social intelligent is one of the useful tools to self-preventing suicides, depression, or anxiety.
Wow, such powerful phrases that you are using. I'm impressed. Your topic is very powerful. As a young person, Amaqhawe are very impressed. Thank you very much for your contribution. But tell me, I heard you saying that you have mastered the concept of social intelligence. What are those?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. This type of skill can never be understood as one concept, but as a collective of concepts which are useful solely or combined, depending on certain social setting or situation and individual. Now let us check how proportional are you in social intelligence based on the following questions. So the first one is, are you emotionally intelligent? How emotionally intelligent are you? Just so you should know, the concept emotional intelligence is 50% of social intelligence, and other 50% takes up the following concepts. So emotions are very key to your relations. It is through them you have bad or healthy relations. It is through them that you change your behavior in a social setting. It is through them that you get to have inner peace. In some other words, it can be stated that emotional intelligence is the base of social intelligence. Now, the next question is, how proportional is your self-love, your favorite? Is it 100%, 50%, or not at all? So remember, this is the skill necessary for you. Without self-love, in some instances, socially, you can never be yourself. I mean, this is just common sense. How can you be someone you do not even love? A lack of self-love mostly causes tension. You're not relaxed. You're always thinking you are not enough. If you love yourself, it's even easier to love others, even easier to be detached to people who are no longer necessary to you. Now, the other question is, how confident are you? Confident, not to be confused with arrogance, is the most powerful skill that predominantly goes with self-love. This concept shows belief, trust in yourself, with yourself and others. So confident people will always feel free amongst other people because they do not look down upon themselves and others. Hence, it is not to be confused with arrogance. Confident people will never put others down. They lift them up. So this type of concept is only necessary for you. It's not only necessary for you, but for others as well who are around you. Now, the second question is, how mindful are you of these social terms? Love, relationships, status, success, failure, and competition. So love is a wonderful word, isn't it? Yes. However, it should never be confused with the person doing it or possessing it. Love will always be positive. Where there is love, there is happiness, respect, peace, consideration of feelings, and compromises. It can never change. It is only the people who change. This is the first term of the concept of mindfulness of social terms. Now, going to relationships are literally the interactions and connections between people from minimum of two. It is very crucial to understand the type and the nature of the relationship that you in. Family friendships, intimate relationships, each of these will require a different approach and attitude. Now, is status is the major cause of society disparities. The question is, how do you relate with someone you think is of higher or lower status than you? Now we go to success. Success is the most depressing term to most people, especially the young people. The society has created the objective definition of it. In other words, one size fits all. The mindfulness of this term is to have your subjective definition. If the objective definition by the society is in accordance with your definition, so be it. There's still nothing wrong. Now we go to failure. Failure is just simple. It is either you take failure as a stepping stone and lesson, or a tool to give up in life. Then competition, you should always know as a person, you are incomparable regardless of the same grade, age, location, or ethnicity. Now, the other question is, how do you communicate with yourself and others? So communication, it is very important in getting to be good in this skill. And you should know that it is not only about keeping in touch, but also about how you communicate, how you set up a tone to communicate, how defensive or defenseless are you in communication. It is imperative to take into cognizance on how you communicate with yourself through and from other people. Always be considerate on how you communicate with yourself, whatever it is communicated to you. This can be linked to what is always said as you got to read between the lines. And always remember, communication can be non-verbal as well. Then the last question is, how much pride do you have? Or do you have it, or you do not have it at all? So pride in social intelligence, it is a requirement, not a necessity. Pride is only necessary on rainy days to fix behavior or that relationship, or to stop that toxic relationship. So pride is one of the last resorts in solving problems in a relationship. Hence, it is a requirement, not a necessity. Once mostly used, it becomes a disaster, and it is a creator of toxicity in relationships.
Your information is so mouthful. I hope the viewers, I hope the listeners are taking note. You've mentioned quite a lot of serious and very important communication, love, relationships. For the first time today, I can differentiate between love and relationships as separate entities. But as I want to say in our departing shot, we need more time. This is a very short time, but you need to go forward and share this. If there is any information you want to share, if there is any information where can others get this knowledge that we are having, feel free to share with us and tell us, how do people know more about social intelligence? As I found it interesting and very informative. In the next minute, can you share us in a nutshell, and then I'll close up our conversation for the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. This type of intelligence is just something that can be learned. And once it is done, we'll get to focus as youth on vital things that could make our country a better place with potential of economic emancipation. So I say it is time for us to fight for our sanity. Remember, if the mind is not moving, the body cannot move. But in terms of sharing these kind of information, at some point I'm still developing, and also there's a study that I'm planning on doing, which is the informentology. And I call myself the informentalist, you know, the informer of mental power. Otherwise, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you very much. You're rolling with new terms. You're rolling and rolling and rolling that are so not familiar, but not so much used in our society. May you grow, may you push this. Amaqhawe Ethu, a Liberation Heritage Foundation, is thanking uNtandazo Nkonki. Akwabanga aqhubekeka atyebise olu lwazi analo, alwandise phakathi kolutsha. Injongo kokubana sidibanise abantu abatsha kunye nabantu abadala.